Have you ever noticed that the most embarrassing situations in your life happened precisely when you were absolutely certain that you were in control of everything? We love the silly fantasy that we can predict every twist of fate. There's no better symbol for this theater of illusions than Sasaki Kojiro. A master swordsman of feudal Japan, Kojiro was obsessed with refinement and perfection. He was the kind of guy who today would be posting TikToks about 5 samurai morning rituals to raise your vibration. Kojiro believed he had tamed reality through training. But then comes Miyamoto Musashi, the king of anti-illusion, to dismantle it all. Musashi understood that excessive thinking is just ego masquerading as strategy. It's the person who spends 3 years planning a YouTube channel but never uploads a video, or the one who opens 47 tabs to make a simple decision and ends up more confused than when they started. Kojiro believed that thinking more meant acting better. The irony is that life loves to humiliate those with perfect plans. The duel with reality. At their famous duel, Kojiro arrived early, impeccable and ready. Then he waited and waited. He got angry. This is the classic symptom of an overthinker, an inability to handle reality when it behaves differently than imagined. Musashi showed up obscenely late, carrying a carved piece of wood instead of a sword, and told Kojiro, "You've already lost." Dominated by his own head, Kojiro reacted with the only weapon people like that have: rage. He forgot his perfect plan the moment things went off script. As Nietzsche suggested, the weak man requires absolute order and rules, while the strong man embraces chaos, because chaos is the only guarantee. Mushin, the art of the empty mind. In the 21st century, our heads are clogged with noise, notifications, opinions, and that internal monologue that sounds like a drunk narrator rooting against you. Musashi's secret weapon was Mushin, literally, empty mind. This isn't empty in the sense of being unintelligent. It is a state where the mind is not full of trash or internal drama. You act with the precision of someone who has nothing to prove. Musashi wasn't a peaceful monk, he was a practical warrior. To him, emptying the mind meant throwing away everything that hinders action: ego, useless sentimentality, and the need to look smart.
The mania of preferences. We suffer from a modern disease, preference mania. This is the childish need for the world to behave exactly how we find most comfortable. Musashi argued that excessive preference is just a fancy form of emotional fragility. Most of our preferences are actually dependencies. We don't just prefer that the Wi-Fi works or that people understand us. We depend on it to keep from having an existential crisis. When you have too many rigid preferences, you become a slave to the world. Musashi won because he could adapt. He had no favorite technique or rigid rule. Like Kobe Bryant, he didn't have a preference for a specific type of play. He only had a focus on winning. Domesticating the internal enemy. Modern psychology, through figures like Daniel Kahneman, has proven that we aren't truly rational. We just invent rational justifications for decisions we already made emotionally. We feel first, then we argue. The impulse is the master of bad timing. It's the ego disguised as courage. Musashi didn't try to kill the ego, but he did domesticate it. He kept himself functional by putting the ego in the back seat, much like Beethoven did when he produced masterpieces despite his isolation and anger. Focus comes when you stop feeding the internal soap opera. The philosophy of pain and no plan B. Real growth happens when nobody is watching, and it usually tastes like failure and loneliness. Musashi trained alone in forests and caves with no audience and no validation. While pleasure distracts and addicts, pain leaves you intelligent. It acts as a filter that reveals what truly matters. Musashi chose intentional pain, the pain of discipline and repetition, over the cheap pain of pride and comparison. Finally, the path requires having no plan B. A plan B is often just an elegant way of saying, I don't trust myself. Figures like Marie Curie or Malcolm X didn't have backup plans, they had a direction. Most people don't focus because they aren't willing to pay the emotional price, the risk of actually failing. Musashi didn't fear failure, he feared living without a fight.